Hi, I'm Stephen Reich here at the Pokepress Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm on the phone with Anne from Pikapi Podcast, and in a break between the Advanced Generation and Diamond and Pearl movies, we're doing another special episode in this series. Today we're talking about underrated Pokemon music, primarily focusing on the anime. I think that's most of what we got to talk about today, but that's what we're covering. So, Anne and I have each picked out 3 songs, and at the end of the episode, we're also going to go over some listener comments. We love getting those, and we've got some great ones for this time around. So, first off, Anne, you picked, I'm going to use the English titles here, well, for 2 of them, because the third one I don't know how to say. The first one you picked is Because Everyone Was There, which is from Revelation Lugia, in other words, the Japanese Pokemon 2000. And then Never Too Far From Home from Totally Pokemon. And then the third one is Sonogi, and you take it from here.
Soko ni sora ga aru kara. Yeah, because there we have the sky, or because there is the sky.
Yeah, there we have the sky is probably how I'm going to refer to it. But anyway, it's the...
No, that'll work.
It's the first ending theme from the Advanced Generation series. So... some great choices there, some of which I was more familiar with than others. But I picked We're a Miracle, which you may remember back from our first episode. And then I also picked Master Pokemon. Now, just before we get fully into it, I just want to say this is not To Be a Master or anything from that album. This is a very sort of not super well-known song that we'll go into more detail. It was shown on Kids WB a couple times and 1 or 2 other places. And the last one I picked is Pokemon Chronicles, but not the English theme from that. This is going to be the Italian theme. This is going to give me a great opportunity to talk about some of the Italian Pokemon music, which is, for the season themes, quite different from the stuff on the English side, despite being ostensibly based on that dub. But, Anne, we're going to sort of alternate on this one. You get to go first with Because Everyone Was There. Tell us a little bit about the song itself.
Yes, so this was from the Revelation Lugia soundtrack, as you mentioned. That was kind of back when they were doing character songs on each of the CDs, especially the second one. And you got one for Furuta Melody, or one for the evil villain, Lawrence III. And you got one for Satoshi, for Ash. And it's performed by Rika Matsumoto. And the composer is usually credited in most places, I find, as Yoshikawa Choji, who wrote and composed some stuff for Pokemon, and also served as an assistant producer on some of the movies and episodes like Movie 8. And I usually see them credited on stuff like the children's Pokemon side, like, which one is it, Dochi Nyo, or credited as Yoshikawa Choji and the Asakusa Kids. So I think this is a bit of a departure for them, because I don't see them doing a lot of serious songs, but this is a very kind of introspective, sad song for Satoshi that ties directly to the movies, talking about like the fate of the planet, and because everybody is there giving their best and suffering and doing everything they can, he can go just a little bit more. And so he kind of is asking everyone to lend them their strength for just a couple more seconds so that he can go a couple more seconds and help save the world. It's really very sweet and like bittersweet, but it ends very hopeful.
Yeah, I didn't unfortunately get a chance to look at a translation for this one, but I did get a very, very emotional take out of there. Now, of course, the actual ending theme for the Japanese version of that movie was Twa at Ma, which we sort of decided didn't fit the movie super well, maybe especially compared to the English Power of One. But you had stated during that episode that this might have been a better way to sort of summarize the movie or use as an insert song or something, that it really kind of belonged in there. Is that right?
I absolutely feel that way. Yeah, it's just... It references the movie specifically. It's so keyed into the emotional flow of the movie, and the kind of even the music itself kind of just seems to fit the general theme of the musical score of that movie. So I think it's really quite special, and it's one that doesn't get as much play, I think, for a lot of people, just because it is kind of tucked away on some one movie soundtrack and not kind of, the big bombastic ending theme or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would have worked super well in the credits as I was listening to it.
Perhaps not, but...
I'm having a bit of difficulty kind of describing the style of it. What kind of genre is it? It's obviously a very much a ballad, emotional power ballad type of thing, but I'm trying to think of a different word.
Would you use folk? Because that's kind of the vibe I get, kind of just that, especially towards the end where it's like the la 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 la, and it's kind of just got like a guitar and maybe some reverb going on. Like pop folk maybe is something I might use.
Yeah, it definitely has that kind of folk, or maybe not really a campfire like fun song, but more like you see sometimes in those. I'm so at a loss for words here on what exactly I want to say about this. For some reason, I just can't come up with the right thing. Maybe kind of, I'm thinking of American Pie for some reason, not the song American Pie, and sort of how that is sort of, I don't know. But
the groove that goes to that song?
I don't know. I just can't come up with the right comparison for this one, unfortunately.
No, that's... I'm not much better. I just know I like it. But...
Oh, it's good. I'm not going to say it's my favorite Pokemon song ever. Like I said, it definitely relates to the movie better than the pop song they sort of picked out for it. But I still, though, do think that if they had put this in the end credits, I still think in that particular episode I would have picked The Power of One over it, though.
Yeah.
If we had had that choice. But yeah, definitely one to check out. I don't think it really is anywhere besides the Japanese album, score/vocal music album for Revelation Lugia. Maybe it's on some sort of Rika Matsumoto Satoshi collection out there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's possible. I think she might, in fact, have like an album or something where this song is included. But yeah, it's kind of, it's a tougher find than some of the others.
So we talked about the second movie. I think we can hop back and talk about the first one, I guess. We're a Miracle. So we talked about this one extensively in our first movie episode. I do want to correct something there. In our first movie episode, I incorrectly stated that it was co-written by Peter Zizzo. That is not correct. He co-wrote Don't Say You Love Me. David Zappel was the name I meant to say there. He's the one who also worked on stuff for Hercules and Mulan, including Reflection and all that stuff. So you have sort of that writing team from that song, and they produced this, which was a demo. And based on, like I said, a mastering CD I was able to find, it sounds like this was a fairly late addition to the soundtrack in October of '99. And, in terms of promotion and all that stuff, it definitely gets overshadowed by Don't Say You Love Me, which I think if you asked a lot of folks would say, oh yeah, that's the ending theme to the first Pokemon movie. Well, sort of. It's in the credits, but it's not the first song in there. Do you think there's anything about this song that maybe leads it to being not as well remembered as maybe it deserves to be?
Other than just the fact that CD in general, because it's so... It kind of seems like a miscellaneous pop album. Like, unless you are really a fan of Pokemon and you ascribe meaning to the songs, like, there are some songs on there that almost don't seem to belong at all. So I think sometimes We're a Miracle kind of gets thrown into that of just like, oh, they just picked a bunch of random songs, so we don't need to remember this CD as important. Like, other than that, I can't think of any real reason, because as we discussed on the episode in question, it's pretty darn close to every major theme.
Yeah, the first verse totally matches up with the movie. The second verse does very well with the series. And Christina's voice, if you had to have a stand-in singing voice for Ash, would not be entirely inappropriate.
Right.
As it turns out. So that's sort of the gist of our discussion. But we definitely encourage you to go back and take a listen to that one. But yeah, as much as I love Don't Say You Love Me, I do wish this song gets more credit. And just one more point of clarification. As we mentioned before, this song was not written for Pokemon, the first movie, which is one of the other things that makes it so amazing, is that there's an alternate version. But this was just a demo that was probably recorded before the movie even came out in Japan. And it just happened to find the right people and get to the right place and get, processed into a final track and put on the soundtrack and put into the movie. I think the primary ending theme might have originally been It Was You. So, maybe that goes to part of it as well. It is virtually perfect for this movie, but at the same time, it seems like it might have been something of a last-minute addition. So maybe, obviously that sort of precludes the possibility of it getting like a music video of some sort, like they did with Don't Say You Love Me. And of course, M2M was an Atlantic artist, so they did want to sort of use that to promote them. So that's one of the reasons I think that song got a lot more attention.
Can I put you on the spot and ask you what your favorite line from that song is, if you have one?
I think it's got to be in the first verse. It's got to be, that all the tears in heaven could bring me back to you, which, in terms of sort of summarizing a movie like that, like I said, that verse is why a lot of folks, I don't know about a lot, I haven't taken a survey or anything. I did see one sort of like rant on YouTube saying, oh, you should hear the real version of the song. And then I kind of already knew, no, it wasn't written for the movie. It just works really, really, really well. Maybe it fits a little too perfectly in that regard. I'm not sure.
There's always going to be someone on YouTube ranting.
That's okay. I can understand the confusion. I mean, totally. If I didn't know better, if someone told me it wasn't, I might not believe them. But so I think, like I said, we do a great discussion of this song back in episode 1, but I do still feel like it's underrated. I do hope that the next time Christina puts out like a multi-disc compilation, I didn't see anything scheduled like on iTunes for like, later this year or early next year or anything like that, but hopefully the next time she does one of those, they can put this song on there, and hopefully the right version. But, they've done that a couple years ago with an NSYNC compilation that came out. They put Somewhere Someday on there. Last year they were finally able to clear Get Happy from Bewitched. So hopefully this can be the next one that they can get on the next collection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're going to keep it on the English side, sort of, but you've picked Never Too Far From Home. What kind of struck you about this one?
This, it came from that Totally Pokemon CD, and it's just something about it has got a more serious tone than a lot of the other songs, because they're all performed by the Sextet Johto, and they kind of have that really fun feel of Pokemon and discovering the world and the Poke Rap and all that fun stuff. Kind of enjoy the world of Pokemon sort of feel. But there were a couple songs, this one and Biggest Part of My Life, that were just a bit more serious. And this one especially just struck me because about the time I was able to get my hands on the cassette of it was about the time that my best friend, who was a year older than me, was graduating high school. And soon I was kind of entering into that frame of mind of thinking about the future and my own life's journey. And I actually ended up recording a parody song of this for her that was like really serious and full of tears about graduating and stuff. But it just kind of hit me at that time of my life where I realized that I was on a Pokemon journey of my own. This show is not fantasy. It is a metaphor for real things that real people are going through. So like the lyrics about knowing that there is somebody at home who is still supporting you even though you have gone away was very touching to me.
It's really awesome that you have sort of a great little story. Of course, let's see, 2001, I was in my junior year of high school. So I think once I went to college a year or two later, that was kind of a nice song for me as well. It's definitely got that vibe. Although, I do have to say, whenever I hear it, I feel like, this could have been repurposed and rewritten into a song for a telephone company commercial. Sorry to say that. It's hard to sort of kill your serious argument there.
No.
That always kind of struck me about this particular song is that you could sort of wind. It seems like it would be really good for that particular purpose. But I do like the vibe.
Yeah, no, it's got sync placement potential.
And we should mention this was not a karaoke-mon. In other words, there wasn't an end segment before the credits where they had this one, but it was used in a 4th season episode, if I remember correctly, Houndoom's Special Delivery. This is the one where Togepi gets separated from the group and a Houndoom sort of starts taking care of it for a while and stuff like that. And during a sort of montage, which has a Raikou cameo in it as part of a thunderstorm, this song plays. It has slightly different lyrics than what was on there, so they must have done several different takes there and picked one for the CD and I guess one for the episode or something like that. be nice to know a little bit more. I have always wanted to track down one or more of the folks from Johto. I mean, they're all still around somewhere, but finding them and getting the timing has been really difficult. And I keep looking every now and again, and I hope I get that. But yeah, this is certainly not the most famous one. It's really Pokemon, not as popular as To Be a Master as an album, but still, I would say pretty nice there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, staying in the Johto region, on the English side, one of my picks is called Master Pokemon. Now, just to clarify, this is not the title track from To Be a Master. This has nothing to do with To Be a Master. And if you want to try and find this, unfortunately, it is quite difficult. So, it's not a particularly long song. It's only a little over a minute. But it was shown in a couple places. You might have seen it on Kids WB. They would occasionally throw it in the middle of a commercial break as what's called a Top Tunes tune. There were a couple for some of the other shows. I think there was one for The Mummy, one for Jackie Chan Adventures, a couple out there. But this one was the Pokemon one in that series. I believe, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it at the U.S. theatrical run of Pokemon Forever. Before the movie started, they would play this, sort of, I guess, in place of a short, which they didn't do for the theatrical runs of the 4th and 5th movies. But I was able, thankfully, to dig up some stuff. For a long time, if you looked on YouTube, if you were able to find this, you'd find some like VHS rips that people had of this. It's never been commercially released in any form or put as a DVD extra, unfortunately. But apparently, the person who did this, I only have their channel name, which is Xandad, Xandad. We can throw in a link here. Kept all of his stuff, and a couple years ago put them all on YouTube on his channel there. And he has some information about how this was produced. I'm going to briefly read this, but basically he had about a week to do it. He had to create, there's this music video that goes with it, and he had to create a lot of stuff there by piecing together anime stuff, using 3D rendering software. It sounds like it took him about 80 hours over the course of that week to get it done, including some work over Labor Day weekend.
My goodness.
So quite a bit of production went into that video, and I think it looks really nice, too. In case you're wondering, the performer is listed as KOI. So according to this write-up here, it's Allison Koi, Koi Howard. Haven't had any luck tracking either of these people down for an interview. Would love to learn more. But like I said, this is a pretty obscure song. If you've never heard it, first of all, hopefully you can find it and take a listen. But it's sort of this, it's got this sort of British-sounding woman, Allison, I guess, doing some rapping, talking about various things with Pokemon, Miltank for a mile or something like that. Hoot Hoot's Light, and it's actually really fun to listen to. I really wish it was longer and had more verses and stuff like that and wasn't just this little thing. But it is sort of in the vein of the Pokerap and Pokerap GS, and quite frankly, it blows Hoenn Pokerap out of the water, but it's got a really great vibe, and I really wish it were available commercially in some form, but at least it is out there. You can hear a decently high-quality version of it. Anne, did you have any thoughts on this song?
Well, I agree with you. I wish it was longer. I wish it had more play. Like, when you showed it to me, it sounded vaguely familiar, but it sounds like, I don't know, it's just such a fun song. It could have easily been one of the hits on something like To Be a Master or one of those such CDs. So it's a kind of a shame that we don't know more about it and kind of sing it more often, I guess, or have it in the lexicon rather.
Yeah, I really, like I said, I really love this one, and I really wish there was another way to get it, but like I said, it's just underappreciated, which, like I said, is the topic of this episode. But if you haven't seen it before, do check it out. It is, if you're doing a raw search, it's pretty hard to find on YouTube, but we will post a link to the guy who produced it, put it up there, and that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Keep listening for more from this interview.